Good day, everybody. Let's talk about Santa Clarita real estate. What's happening today, the 30th of May, 2025. Looking at real estate inventory, we are increasing in that realm. If you look at the national news, they're talking about a lower buyer drive due to higher interest rates and a lot more real estate listings for sale, which is creating an issue in the market and causing a lot of people to panic, thinking that their houses aren't going to sell. That might be a nationwide overall view, but once you get down to micro markets or smaller markets, especially ones that are near large cities of influence like Los Angeles, Santa Clarita Valley happens to be a suburb of this mega city here. So those values are going to hold nice and tight. Of course, we don't have the problem with overbuilding, at least not at this point. We're still facing particular supply issues with regard to building new residential real estate, and there's of course different restrictions, so builders can't just buy land and go out and build everything they want. They have to get approval and many different steps of the process, so that because of that, we have not new housing issues. We do have real estate listings that are being listed for sale in the resale market that are starting to gain steam. So we're having more and more of those added to the market, but we still have a very high buyer drive. The only thing that we're seeing in our local market here, so don't believe everything you see with regard to national real estate news. What we're seeing in the local market is we are having still a high buyer drive, but we're starting to build more inventory. So right now we have 150, 160 more units than we had on the market even a couple months ago. But buyers are still very active in the process, even with interest rates where they are. We do see those interest rates starting to relax a little bit. People are getting more confidence in the 10-year bond, and we're watching how those interest rates are continuing to decline, albeit just a little bit. If it has been a while since you've spoken with your lender, make sure you reach out to them and find out exactly where the rates happen to be today in accordance with your ability to borrow money, FICO score, and all those other items that a lender will look at before they're able to bless a loan and quote an interest rate. And of course, don't forget, interest rates are dependent on the day of lock, so they're going to fluctuate a little bit up and down depending on when you're going to actually lock that particular residence. So don't get too excited about the national news. The biggest change in the market, if it were to happen, would be a lowering of the main rate, the actual Fed funds rate, which doesn't really have a direct impact on mortgage rates, but when the banks can borrow money from each other at less money, usually they will lower the mortgage interest rate. Pay attention to the 10-year bond. There's a lot more confidence in that market, and that is the rate that the actual mortgage rate is tied to. So that's something to watch. Online, make sure you're vetting everything you're seeing. Don't believe it as being gospel unless you verify it. I'm Connor with Honor. We'll see you in the next one.